Hi, this is Rick from For Community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. The very first time I went to church, I was about 13 years old, and I didn't like my first experience. I was forced onto a bus, forced into a group of people I didn't know, forced to do some stuff. It wasn't about relationships. It was really about stuff, the program. And I left that place saying I never want to go back there. However, the second time I went to church was awesome. Friends invited me. I was there in the presence of friends. I started going to youth group as well, and it was all about relationships, and I absolutely loved it because of the friendship part of going to church. What about you? What was your very first church experience like, if you can remember? And what did you find good, bad, or ugly about it? If you're watching with someone, please pause the video and share that very first church experience that you had. This video is all about Resurrection Sunday. Yes, Jesus rose again. Awesome. Now, the reason I started with the illustration about friends and how much better they made going to church is because Resurrection Sunday is all about relationship. It's all about friendship. Because Jesus died and because he rose again, we have this wonderful new friendship with God. My text today for this video is Mark chapter 16, verses 1 through 8. Saturday evening, when the Sabbath ended, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome went out and purchased burial spices so they could anoint Jesus' body. Very early on Sunday morning, just at sunrise, they went to the tomb. On the way there, they were asking each other, "Who will roll away the stone for us from the entrance to the tomb?" But as they arrived, they looked up and saw that the stone, which was very large, had already been rolled aside. When they entered the tomb, they saw a young man clothed in white robes sitting on the right side. The women were shocked, but the angel said, "Don't be alarmed. You're looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He isn't here. He is risen from the dead. Look, this is where they laid his body. Now go and tell his disciples, including Peter, that Jesus is going ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there, just as he told you before he died." The women fled from the tomb, trembling and bewildered, and they said nothing to anyone because they were too frightened.
Hey kids, don't forget to look in the background for all the cool characters. And don't forget to watch this week's episode of Connect HQ. See ya!
Here's a point I want to make around this text, my interpretation of this text. Resurrection Sunday completely changed the way we connect with God. It completely changed our version of what spirituality really is. It completely changed church and how we do stuff religiously. The Old Testament had a lot to do with keeping rules, paying for breaking the rules, and forgiveness came really through ceremonies which would make you clean on the outside, but it didn't really touch anything on the inside of the heart. Resurrection Sunday changed all of that. Spirituality is not external. Spirituality is internal. It's friendship with each other and it's friendship with God. It's this true, deep connection that you and I were given access to as a result of the resurrection. I've got 3 points around this idea that I wanted to share with you. First of all, Resurrection Sunday, this new spirituality that we now have, this friendship with God, is about, firstly, restoration. The text says, "Go and tell his disciples," including Peter. Oh my goodness, this note about including Peter is so important. I'm going to get to it in 1 second. In the Old Testament, spirituality was religion. How did you connect with God? Through religion. There were many rules around how to be forgiven, how to live so that people were religiously holding the line. That's not how things need to be done or are done anymore. Peter did not hold the religious requirements and didn't make a personal sacrifice for forgiveness. His forgiveness came from his friendship with Jesus. Why is that important? Peter said to Jesus, "I will never betray you." And Jesus says to Peter, "Before the rooster crows 3 times, you will surely betray me." And Peter's like, "Oh no, not me. I will die before doing that." And what happened? Peter totally denied that he knew Jesus. He totally abandoned Jesus, just like Jesus said he would. And Peter said, "Oh no, I would never do that." Peter completely denied Jesus. "I don't know the guy. I'm not a Jesus follower." So when Jesus says, go get the disciples, including Peter. I love this because part of what the resurrection means is it calls us to restoration. All of the bad stuff, all of the shame that we're carrying gets completely taken away because of the resurrection. When Jesus died, that was all the payment due for all the bad stuff we ever did. If you think that God is ever out to get you for any bad thing you've ever done, that's covered on the cross. And so what's left for us? This restoration, this calling into a new friendship with God because of the resurrection, just like Jesus calls Peter, who denied that he knew Jesus, completely disowning Jesus. Jesus calls you and Jesus calls me and said, it's okay. I paid all that stuff that you think needs to be paying. Now, please just come back into friendship with me. It's the same for all of us. Your forgiveness comes from your faith in Jesus and then following him. True spirituality is relationship, not religion. It's relationship with others and it's relationship with God. Have you done wrong? Yes, for crying out loud, you've done wrong. So what do you do about it? You go to your friend Jesus. You believe in him and you get restored just like Peter got restored, and then be confident. If Peter can be forgiven, you can be forgiven too. Here's what else the resurrection means. Point number 2, I want to talk about diversity. The text says they said nothing to anyone because they were too frightened. I want you to notice the 2 words here, they and because. And I want you to notice these 2 words because there is no judgment in this text at all. The angel told the women, and they didn't do what the angel said, but there's a because here. Rather than calling the women out for being wrong, that they didn't follow some kind of order, there's a word because here, which really softens this a lot. I wonder how I would have responded. If an angel told me Jesus has risen, I'm an extrovert. I do a lot of my thinking on the outside of my head. I very likely would have connected with somebody to talk this out, to debrief with someone, and talk to many people because that's who I am. I'm an extrovert. These women, however, didn't respond like I would because they are people without power. In this particular society that this is written into, women had no power at all. Men had all of the power. If the women went to the men with a story and the men didn't believe it, then they were then at risk. So I love the words they and because here's the thing. It's not just about rules. There's some diversity in here. If we can't follow it rules as written, that's okay because it's about relationship. It's about mercy. It's about Jesus who cares for all of us. And if we can't do this rules as written thing, it's okay. Find your way to Jesus and find your own way. What does living as a Jesus follower look like to you? And that's okay because your stuff isn't my stuff. Your life doesn't need to look like my life. We get to figure out how to be Jesus followers on our own. Diversity is healthy and you're welcome to be you as a Jesus follower. Even if you think you don't fit the mold, it's okay. Let's just break that mold and let's give you the space to be a Jesus follower as you need to be a Jesus follower. I love that the resurrection allows us this kind of diversity, that your walk with Jesus doesn't have to look the same as my walk with Jesus. There's a third point that I'd love to share around what the resurrection means. It means that we have agency, specifically kingdom agency. I'm not taking this point from any specific text here. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the 2 alternative endings in the Gospel of Mark. The shorter ending is likely the original ending, and the second ending is likely some kind of commentary that was added on there because somebody in the early church figured that, it feels like it's not closed. Let's add a bit of a commentary on here so it feels like we've got the end. But the deal is, I don't think there was a the end. I'm pretty sure that this book was left to be open-ended. Which means what? Which means that the story continues, not in Jesus, because he resurrected, the story continues in you. The same work that Jesus was here to do in the world is the work that you and I are to do. And what is that? To make God known through Jesus, to tell everybody how awesome God is, and to tell everybody that God's kingdom is right here, right now. I know you can't see it, but you can experience it with the forgiveness and the friendship that God has to offer that starts right now and can stay with us for all of eternity. Resurrection Sunday changed how we connect with God, changed religion, changed spirituality. True spirituality is relationship. It's relationship with others, and it's relationship with God. And those are the two relationships that were completely destroyed at the fall in Genesis. You and I, we don't have these really great close relationships because there's a lack of trust with strangers and even with our neighbors. You and I don't have this really great close relationship with God. We're not born into it. But with the resurrection and as Jesus followers, that changes. It gives us the opportunity to express love to each other and also love to God and restore what was lost and bring us into these wonderful and better relationships. The kind of relationships where nobody is forced to be a copy of anyone else. The kind of relationships that there's acceptance for you and we celebrate all of our differences around our diversities. The kind of relationships that are empowering so that we can be the authentic self that we are and we can walk in a friendship fully accepted, fully embraced. If you are a follower of Jesus, you're a friend of God. You're forgiven and you're restored in a relationship with God. You're invited to embrace your authentic self and express your authentic self in your Jesus following, whatever that looks like for you. You're empowered to communicate and demonstrate how awesome friendship with God is and extend invitations to others to experience that as well. So I'll summarize by saying this. The Lord is risen. He has risen indeed. He is risen to be your friend. That's it from me to you for now. Would you please like? Would you please share? Would you please subscribe? Also, would you please ask for the link? I'd love to have you join us this coming Resurrection Sunday, 10:30 or 6 p.m. If you want to support, you can find the link to support us down in the show notes for community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. See you next time.